But today we're really here to talk about the amazing stuff we're doing with DexFi. So again, DexFinance, we showed in DexFi. We have a few flagship projects and protocols within DexFi, and the big one today we want to talk about is our vaults. So a lot of you may already be familiar with our vaults. They've been around for about 3 years now, and essentially what they are is an auto compounder. So similar to like a beefy finance or a balancer pool, but with a lot of added features that really set us apart. And honestly, we're able to outperform beefy auto vaults and balancer vaults by about 10% minimum because of our technology. So I mentioned earlier, we've been utilizing AI even before it became kind of the hot topic. And about 3 months ago, we introduced what's called the AILM, or Artificial Intelligence Liquidity Manager. And a lot of you might be familiar with ALMs, or Automated Liquidity Managers. There are a few protocols that have those implemented now. Even some of the big guys like PancakeSwap have a version of their own, but we are using a much better system. And again, I say that objectively, but the numbers don't lie, through our vault. So basically what makes us unique is not only are you able to have positions in the vaults individually, but we're one of the only auto compounders that allows you to have multiple positions in the same vault. So let me back up a little bit. What is a vault, right? So essentially this is concentrated liquidity providing on chain. So you take two assets and you provide liquidity on those assets, whether it's BTC ETH or maybe something a little more degen like Bagels and ETH on base, and you essentially get fees per providing that liquidity. And this is real yield. It's solely based on volume, not on Quantonomics or any other things that we've seen be a detriment to protocols. And with our system, we do it in a very streamlined way that automates the whole process. So typically when you're providing liquidity, you have to be a little bit of a DeFi expert to manage the position, make sure that you're in range with the volatility, and obviously the tighter the range, the more money you make, but then you have to monitor that 24/7. Well, with our vaults, that is all automated, and it's automated through, again, what we call the AILM, which is an AI artificial intelligence system that actually is able to widen or tighten the range on your liquidity automatically. And this is something really powerful. Again, based on volatility and volume, it opens the range or closes the range. And again, I know this is a lot of information all at once, but really at the end of the day, we have a lot of simple options as well, where if you're bullish on a certain asset, so again, by example, say Bitcoin or ETH, you can actually provide liquidity for that asset and earn while holding, because we're all big fans of holding tokens that we believe in that have long-term potential, but you can actually hold and earn along the way rather than just having them sit in your wallet. So this is what all the big hedge funds, all the big Wall Street guys, they make their money through liquidity providing, and we're offering this service now to a more mainstream audience as well. So again, that's a very high level overview. I know it's complicated. Try not to get too overwhelmed. But we've been really having great success with that. We have over $3 million in TVL in the vaults already. And it's only been about 3 months since we implemented the AILM. And, I would just encourage all of you to kind of test it out and see for yourself. Even if you start with a small amount, it really, our system essentially mitigates impermanent loss as well, because you're able to take profit automatically. So we have ETFs as well. that are essentially just placeholders for all your profit that automatically convert your profit to blue chip assets rather than compounding your gains into the more high risk assets. So again, in my example of a meme token, you don't necessarily want to keep reinvesting your profits into a volatile meme token. So we have strategies that just automatically take your profit from the yield and put it into blue chip ETFs. So again, some really, really cool stuff. I don't know, Tim, if there's anything you want to add.
Yeah, I do actually, AJ. I think you hurt a lot of our listeners and the people that are watching this, their feelings about how they degen all their money into meme tokens and write it all the way down.
For sure.
We'll save it.
Sure,
we'll save that chart. I swear we will do it. Oh man. But the kind of a more responsible play here that AJ is talking about is really, this is big brain moves, right? This is if everybody was able to know how to, anybody could get into liquidity providing. You could go into any of the dexes out there and provide liquidity. But if you don't manage it, what'll happen is you'll have a really bad case of impermanent loss, and you don't have the ability to get the gains that you could potentially have. And in a lot of operations, especially the big dogs and the people that are making big money that aren't degenning into fart coin, they're doing this. They're managing the liquidity. Now, the fact that they have dipped into AI and they evolved what was already set up prior in Dex Finance, which was already really good. Like, Tim, Dex Finance was awesome. Like, I was in Dex Finance when it first launched 2.5 years ago. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. It's pretty amazing. I think it's a bit of a hidden gem. I don't think it's really that well known yet, to be honest. And the ability to use it to just automate your portfolio is just crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell me, okay, if people wanted to participate, I'm actually on the live stream. I've got your vault open, and I'm looking through the different options that are available. It for everybody that's watching or listening, they have you can do it on multiple chains. You got BNB, you have Pulse, you have Optimism, AVAX.
Do you want me to sort of? I'll give you a bit of a rundown.
Okay, perfect.
I've been with DexFi for 3 years. I'm a software developer myself. I've been a software developer for 25 years in enterprise. But I joined Dex Finance just as an investor. I was there at the beginning when they were doing the Tomb Fork stuff, and then I watched the vaults, and for a long time I was sort of behind the scenes. I was just an investor, and then I sort of dabbled, helping the team a little bit, helped them with some thoughts about UIs, just as a really passionate person as part of the team. So I think I've sort of seen it all the way through, and now I'm part of the DexFi team working on Geo, which is our AI swarm builder, which I'll get to later. But the vaults, as someone who's used them and is really passionate about them, the thing that they do is that they take the stress out. So what they do is they take the stress out of investing. The way they do that is they allow you to look at like investment strategies that other people have put together. People that are reading the news, that are following the tokens, that are involved in projects. They allow those people to put together investment strategies, and then for you to invest in them. And the APRs are insane. Like we're talking like 10,000% APY sometimes.
Which one is that?
And this is there's tons. Yeah. So the way they're doing this, and this is really cool. The really big key point here is there are plenty of places to invest on chain and get and get big APYs and to farm liquidity and that sort of thing. The big difference between DexFi vaults and those, or the main difference that I find, is that they take profit for you. So what that means is if you are farming liquidity of some token that you don't that you want to make sure you lock in that value. The vaults are going to do that for you. They'll take that value out of that investment strategy, and they'll lock it into ETH or USD, whatever you want. So instead of having to worry, you know that money's being locked away all the time. The other thing they do is they balance, which means you can have, say, 3, 4, 5 farms in a single vault, and when one goes up, which happens, and the other one is staying stable, it's going to move money across from the one that's going up into another one and into the other one, and that locks in value, because as they go up and down at different paces, the balancing moves money from one to the other and back and forward. So your overall value is growing, and then so this has always been the case, but in the last the biggest change in the last that's been sort of brewing over the last 12 months has been the V3 support, and then following from that the AI to manage the V3. So I don't know how much people understand what V3 is, but I'll give it a quick rundown. V3 is basically is a way of providing is the third version of providing liquidity from the Uniswap protocol. And so V3 liquidity is, and I'm going to say Uniswap, I mean it's proliferated across crypto, but what it is it's a way to provide liquidity in a way where you can provide it at a very concentrated spot in a range. So instead of in V2 where you would provide it from $0 to infinity, V3 is like from $99 to $101. And why that's important is because if the swaps are happening in that range and you're providing money in that range, you get all the fees. If someone's not providing in their range, then they don't get the fees. So if you can find a way to make sure you're always the one that's providing the fees, always the one that's providing liquidity, you're the one that's going to get paid. So what DexFi's vaults do is they use AI to make sure the farms that you're farming are the ones getting the liquidity, and the results speak for themselves. It's crazy. The APYs are high because of that, and it's incredible. So you can actually I mean, it's not a silver bullet. You've got to do research, and it's great to be part of the community to understand things, but there are some really, really great investment strategies out there making great money.
This is really cool. So on the live stream, I actually have the page up, and for people that are listening, it's dexfi.com. If you go /vaults, or it's the first option on the main menu, you get to see all of the different options. There's a video that you can check out, and you can choose from, it looks like 6 or 7 different chains and different options for those chains, and it tells you a little bit about like the APY, what the daily percentages are, the TVL, liquidity, the risk assessment, which that's nice for some people that might want a little bit higher APR. They might have a better a more riskier profile, or if you want to go a little bit of a safer route because they see the market is scary, then you can go that route. So this is really intuitive. I have a little bit of experience with Dex Finance prior to this conversation, and they had you guys did have some of these aspects already there, and it was a little bit of a game, at least on my side, because I would look at it and I'd always look at which farms or which strategy would work with based off of what I had or what I was interested in. Because if I have money just laying around in a wallet, it doesn't do anything. In this situation, you can make the money or the tokens that are in your wallet work for you in an intelligent fashion. And what better way than to work with 2 people that have been in the industry since the first bull cycle, going into real world applications in a way that is very intuitive. You guys also just launched some things in the last week. We'll talk about those things after we go through some of these others, the other guests here today. Tim,
For sure.
Tim, AJ,
Sounds good.
I'm gonna bring you guys back up in just a second. Nath, Mike, do you have any questions?
Well, it just feels like I've been doing DeFi wrong all along. I don't know. You know, when you just kind of feel like you're being schooled. It's not like I was a big whale investor or anything, but I feel like every little investment I made was like dog shit to this point. I'm just gonna have to start following these guys a little bit closer up and getting to learn some, new moves from now on moving forward. Definitely, they got some spicy stuff cooking, and I really like where they're on about. They make it sound professional and that they're actually really aware of what they're doing and that they actually have real results. They're not just promising a bunch of stuff, which is great to see. In this space, I'm always excited about solid outcomes. So that's pretty great. What about you, Mike? You got something?
I love it. Well, real quick, before we hear from Mike, I just want to say, that's just part of the DeFi journey. We pride ourselves on educating, and trying to make better DeFi users. So, yeah, now you know about it. Now you can join in. We also do AMAs once a week. So if you guys are, overwhelmed, again, I know it's a lot of information, or you might be new to this, we do our own AMAs on YouTube and Twitter, or X now, once a week. To answer any questions you might have. And then real quick too, Randy, just while you have the live stream up, if you go to the homepage, we also are fully audited. That's another big thing. We spent a ton of money on the best 3 auditing firms that money can buy. We've never had an exploit. I mean, what protocol between DexFi and EMP can say that? So we take our security really seriously as well. So, yeah, sorry, I didn't want to interrupt you. But, yeah, all right, go ahead.
Good, Mike.
That's awesome. And that's the biggest thing in DeFi is making sure that other people can't look at your users' input and output. People confuse the software stuff. And I studied it along this whole journey. And I've been doing full stack stuff, and after a few years of it, you realize that the people trusting the people that are deploying the site to make sure that they know all of the trick that the hackers will use to use their site to get information. So that's super awesome about the audits, because you just really can't do that on your own. One, because you can't say, hey, I audited my own contract and use it. But also it's super, 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 super hard. So that's cool. But on the DeFi side for me, that's where I was before I got lost in the sauce in the NFT restaurant. I used to mess around with ApeSwap on Binance in 2021. And it was my first experience just kind of like being able to move money around without having to ask somebody about it. It's like that to me, that was my eureka moment that hooked me. It's like, wait a minute, I'm gonna have to call my bank between this 8-hour section and argue with somebody about my money that they're holding, and it takes this how long, and you're holding it, you're giving me how much. But on DeFi protocols, there's none of that. So when I realized, and I was running a business at the time, a trucking company that I started in 2008, and I was just trying to run my business. And the whole point of the business was to make a return, and my return was 20-30%. And so in 2021 summertime, I basically fell down the rabbit hole too far. I was like, wait a minute, I have 4 trucks, 6 guys out, running around, and this is so stressful, and they're making me 20%. But if I can properly develop a portfolio to lend this and that to him and her, I can make that same thing, and I don't have to pour diesel in this thing that keeps breaking. So that's when I started to pivot from being a trucking owner for 12 years at that point, and the pandemic helped me move on from it. But I was like, wait a minute, why am I moving this steel around for a less amount of money than I would get if I just applied my brain to economics, which I love. So, absolutely love what you're doing. And earlier in the week, I set up a vault. I won't say which tokens I picked, but it's a pretty cool protocol. And I'm just dipping my toes in it, but it really is something I haven't seen before, and I've seen a lot of stuff.
Thanks, Mike. Yeah, man, no doubt. That means a lot, brother. And you're right, man. I mean, whether it's your real world business as a trucking company, or I like to make the analogy of like, real estate, like, being a landlord and getting paid every day. If the toilet breaks, you gotta show up and fix it, or hire a management company to do it for you. But with DeFi, you can actually put your money to work, and be as hands off as you want to be, especially through tools like this. And you're 100% right. It's all self-custody. We don't take any, we don't actually, take custody of the funds. You're providing it through your wallet, through the DEX directly. And, we even have safeguards in place. If you're in one of the vaults and there's a potential exploit on the vault or on the DEX itself, because remember, we're like the middleman managing your position on the vault, but you're still providing liquidity on the actual DEX. So if it's Aerodrome or PancakeSwap or whatever it might be, but we even have a function called an emergency withdrawal that you can potentially get your funds out quicker than any other LP providers if there is some sort of issue. So we've done everything we possibly can to make it work. Yeah.
And that made me think of a question, if you don't mind me asking.
Yeah, for sure.
When you're doing, so you're multi-chain, right? Because there was stuff on different
I
stuff.
think we're up to eight chains now. Yeah.
So do you have a bridge provider, or are you bridging this stuff on your back end?
I love this question. Yeah. So yeah, the short answer is both. So we do have our own DEX now. We just launched Dex Swap, which is our own V3/V4 DEX. We did our MVP on Binance Smart Chain, so eventually we'll be able to actually have our own DEX, which is really bullish because as we continue to add liquidity pairs, not only are we able to provide services through the vaults, but now we're on our own DEX. So the fees, everything that happens stays in the ecosystem rather than going to PancakeSwap or Uniswap or whatever else. So that is super bullish, number one. Number two, yeah, we do have a bridging service. Right now we only support 3 chains, actually 4. So Manta, Pulse Chain, BSC, and Arbitrum. But eventually we'll have a bridge as well that will allow you to, again, get positions on any of the chains that we support. So a little bit of both. We're always building, for sure.
I love it. I love it. And 2 things. One, there's a magic 3-letter word in DeFi. It's called TVL. And if you're running bridges, that goes up because you take on the risk as the bridge of losing the funds if you forget a number in the hash of the address you're sending it to, right? So that's why we like robots. But the bigger that number, the better. And it's not always the case because TVL has a lot of things you have to take into consideration. Like no indicator ever is the golden indicator. But that's the one that's most used for that, so that's awesome to add a benefit. And secondly, the next chain you're adding is 8 chain, correct?
Yeah, so we love the apes for sure. But yeah, so to answer that first question, yeah, obviously TVL is a great metric to measure success, but like you said, it's not always the full picture. Volume is another great indicator. I mean, we've probably done at this point literally tens of millions of dollars through our bridge from Pulse. That's the most volume right now. We're one of the only, whether you like Pulse or not, that's again a whole different conversation, but we're one of the only BSC to Arbitrum to Pulse bridges that exist. And so we've been getting a ton of volume, and again, we have been super safe. Bridges are usually a big exploit vector or attack vector for exploits, but we've been super safe with all that. So we're always looking to add other chains. We are EVM. Everybody asks for Sol. Unfortunately, right now that's a bit of a heavy lift because Sol is not EVM compatible. But we do hopefully. Want to be able to. Totally. We want to be able to add that eventually. But I think that next chain, obviously we just added Sonic. There's been a lot of great volume on that. So we're always adding new chains as they come live.
Yeah. If you need help adding Ape Chain, I have 3 resources for you. Hit me up.
All right. Awesome, brother.
Awesome. AJ, Tim, you guys are awesome. Before we move on to the next guest, I want to make sure that everybody has a little bit to take with them. First off, we're talking about DexFi.com. We've got AJ. We have Tim. They're talking today about their vaults. They're going to be talking soon about their other aspects. They mentioned Gia. They mentioned some other really fun things, and they'll bring that later on. They're the sponsor of today's show, so we're going to spend a little bit more time with them. But we also have some really incredible guests today, and I want to make sure everybody has time for this show. AJ, before we move on to this next guest, Tim mentioned something about a couple of these strategies have some really high APYs, and I'm looking on the live stream right now with the vaults open, and I'm looking at some of these APYs and daily APYs. Is this stuff real? Like, is that legit?
I love it, man. Yeah. So that's the first reaction a lot of the time. So I mean, we can go to that first one right there, the base 5, that has the 5 in it, that again, it is real, and that's the crazy part. I mean, we're so used to these degenerate, 1% daily APRs, but that's based on just like, inflationary mechanisms, posinomics, all the bad stuff that ends in tears when the protocol goes to 0. Our APY and APR is based on real yield. So again, in some of these that are doing 1% daily or more, that is just because there is fairly low liquidity, but a lot of volume. I mean, some of these vaults are doing, $2-3 million of volume a day.
Dude, this is
insane.
And you got to
remember, you're providing liquidity, so every time somebody trades, that you get a part of that fee. So what you want to see is relatively low liquidity. Again, nowhere too low, because lower liquidity is usually riskier as well. So like a perfect ratio would be, if you're only seeing like 500,000 in liquidity, but they're doing $5 million a day in volume, that is like a recipe for just absolutely printing yield. So I don't know if you want to add to that, Tim.
Whoa.
But I mean, totally.
Oh my gosh!
I'll just add one thing.
Tim.
I'll just.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Tim.
Go on.
No. I was getting too excited here, and I was about to stop the stream and the show so I could jump into some of this stuff right now.
Totally.
Go ahead, Tim.
So that situation where you have low liquidity and high volume, and it's generating tons of fees, that's like the sort of the golden situation when you find that, and it's always out there. It's always happening somewhere, and I think the most exciting thing is that because of all the AI tech we're building and the ability to consume the blockchain and understand it, consume news, consume Twitter, consume everything, and then help you find these things. We're getting the place we're going is the ability to find these needles in the haystack, create the vault, promote it to people, and people can you will be able to have it put the money in the vault for you. And this means that you can basically say, I want you to go and find me these things and invest in them for me, and it'll happen while you're asleep.
Man,
I have so
I
many
love that.
questions. We don't have the 40 years it would take us to get
Yeah.
through it.
Well, I mean, clearly we're going to have to take this offline and bring it into maybe even one of our pop-up video shows that we were planning on doing coming up, because there is a lot of good stuff in here, a lot of good juicy stuff too. I mean, on the stream I have Brett and Rapteeth, and it says here APY 14,000, daily 2.5. Obviously these fluctuate, but like right now that's hot. That's hot. And I mean, we'll need some education, and I think that's where this show is more like, think of it as a appetizer to a main meal. So we want every project and everybody here to be able to hear about what's going on, hear about the alpha. And the alpha here is that there's some AI management of liquidity that's built into DexFi. We have Tim, we have AJ that's throwing down the gauntlet about how to take your money that maybe is sitting in your wallet that you're not doing anything with, or maybe you're one of the smart managers out there that want to make your money work for you, that is outside of the regular banks. They need a management system, and DexFi provides that solution, and a lot of different solutions. And it'll do things in an automated fashion that allows for you to take profit, which is really incredible. So we're going to spend more time with you later. We'll talk about the other things that you've got going on, Tim and AJ. And then, I mean, I can already tell right now that we're going to have to do a show just on what you've got going on, because there's some education that I think needs to go down, and you've got some really good stuff cooking.
Cheers. Yeah, brother. We're going to hang out, and we'll be back to talk about you.